Hello, guten Tag und grüß Gott. Today is Sunday, February the 23rd, 2025. You know, it's been nearly a month since I made my last video, and I thought, it's not a bad idea to do a video today. It's a beautiful day. I think the temperature here is in the 70s. And of course, a lot has happened over the last month. So, well, we've may as well get started on it. And I have my dog right next to me. I don't know whether he's going to behave or what he's going to do, but of course he always behaves, you know. So what am I even saying? You know, the dog is just full of behavior, and he every once in a while he gets a little upset. And the reason he gets upset is because, you know, there's a certain dog outside that he might see or hear, and suddenly all hell breaks loose because it really gets him ticked. He thinks that dog is a terrible threat to the family, and you know, the family is the livestock that he's guarding. So anyway, so let's see what we. I've made some notes here because, you know, I just didn't want to talk nilly-willy for a month of happenings. You know, that's quite a lot. So the Gaza conflict is still going on, but at least, you know, it's not a hot war right now. It's kind of a standoff because they have and it's not an armistice, but it's a ceasefire, and they're starting to exchange hostages. You know, hostages meaning Gaza took prisoners. You know, they captured over 1,000 Israelis. You know, just regular civilians, and and Israel, you know, having invaded Gaza, you know, took in some people that they considered threats, and now they're turning them over to him, and probably a lot of soldiers and military people that are held by the Israelis, and that's why the exchange for prisoner exchange is really kind of weird. You know, is the Hamas is releasing 3 prisoners, and Israel is giving 100 prisoners in exchange. I don't know what that tells you about the value of human life relative, you know, between the Arabs and the Israelis. But anyway, so that's what's going on. And of course, by now, Gaza is just, you know, a heap of rubble, basically, you know, up and down that entire strip. So Trump had a meeting with Netanyahu, and they're trying to figure out, you know, what are the next steps? You know, what are they going to do with that area now that is so devastated? And I'm not sure they can even destroy any more because the pictures that we see, you know, are just you know, rubble. And so Trump says, well, let America take it over, and we will we will turn it into you know, the I think he called it the Riviera of the Mediterranean. You know, over there, the Riviera of the Levant. You know, I guess it's a better way to say it. So. So let just America take us over. In the meantime, you know, the people that are left or that are still left, and the people that have left, why don't you Arab states just take them in, and you know, then they can return. You know, after we've really turned it into a destination place. So that really went over like a lead balloon, you know, with the Arabs, because, you know, well, they don't really want the Arabs from Gaza, you know, but. You know, and I'm not sure why. You know, there's probably some sort of a deep reason. Is, you know, that they're probably consider them bad guys also. You know, in which it doesn't make any sense. You know, I mean, these mostly mostly people, that are trying to make a living but hate the Israelis. So I don't know. Does that make them really bad? Or, I mean, we're Americans and, we hate communists. Well, maybe not, because there are more communists here now in America than there used to be. There was at one time there was Russia the enemy, and we were supposed to hate the enemy. Anyway, so that kind of human stuff is still going on. But yeah, Trump says, let's clean up Gaza. Let us clean up Gaza. We'll take over Gaza, and that would have been something. Like the 51st state or 52nd state, because while he was trying to take over, while he was talking about taking over Gaza, he also mentioned Canada. So maybe Canada could be deserving of statehood in the United States. So Trump is throwing all that spaghetti on the wall, to see what sticks. But it's actually it's about time that we have somebody that thinks a little bit outside of the box. We always want somebody. Oh, let's think outside of the box. Because you don't want the same old. But Jesus, are the people complaining that he's thinking outside of the box too much? So anyway, but in the meantime, we had a really interesting crash in the Potomac. Southwest Airline, was coming in for landing, and military Black Hawk helicopter crashed right into it. 67 people died. So it was really bad, and the wreckage fell into the Potomac. The helicopter, and anyway, and it's a little bit of a discussion over this, because one of the things, that Trump came out and said, what, we're going to eliminate DEI, diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion, and because what has happened is that while it sounds like a really nice thing, why shouldn't we have diversity, equity, and inclusion, or equality and inclusion? But the thing is that the inclusion often includes people that are not qualified, because, it's now a mandate, and for some of the businesses, just even if they want to borrow payroll money, they have to divulge their DEI score. So Trump wants to do away with this. And of course, the discussion about this particular crash was, who in the hell was running that helicopter, and why was it at that elevation? And the investigation is going on. But we know that Captain Rebecca was piloting the helicopter. So, let's not draw too many conclusions from this, because she's female. I'm sure she's eminently qualified to run that helicopter, but the question is, were there more qualified males available, and she was chosen over those males, and maybe that thing would have never happened. And that this is the kind of thing, that goes through people's minds. And, when we're talking about DEI, because when DEI becomes a mandate, that kind of, it implies instantly that's a short circuit to, the best and the brightest and the most qualified. So, well, I'm for getting rid of this, because I think the best and the most qualified, ought to be chosen by industry and elsewhere, especially in jobs, that are very demanding and dangerous, and could cause a lot of harm. Like in the transportation system, our airplanes should be piloted by the best, and you have to be eminently qualified, and not just marginally qualified, because, you've got a couple of hundred people on board, that can crash. So, well, this Potomac crash just started a series of crashes. There was some private planes were crashing, and then we had just very recently in Canada a um, a commercial airline with 60 some people on board landed and on a slippery landing strip because in Canada it was snowing and and flipped over and so nobody's saying who piloted that plane right now, and there are all kinds of rumors going around because the airlines, I think they're called Ebony Airlines or something like that, um, that uh, they'd made a commercial, of having all female crew. So another woman piloted this thing, maybe marginally qualified. It's we've got to be careful, not jump into conclusions, but it looks highly suspicious, as how in the hell did as they're starting to look at it, evidently, the plane as it landed, didn't flare, and when it doesn't flare and loses airspeed, then it basically crashes flat down, and so evidently it ripped off the right wing and then slid down the runway and flipped over. Luckily, I mean, people were hospitalized, but nobody died. Okay, so the airline CEO said, our crew did a wonderful job, and and making sure that everybody got out safe, and I'm sure they did. Because everybody got out safe. But and I think everybody's out of the hospital now, so the injuries weren't very serious. So thank God this wasn't a problem. But anyway, again, it points to are we having the best and the most qualified people, running our really important jobs, and or is it more important to have a DEI score appropriate, that is approved by governments, agencies, and banks, which have to demand that, and so that the company can save some money. So it's money on interest that they need to pay whenever they have to have cash for payroll. So it's a bit of a conundrum, and I think we've kind of lost our way with even what Martin Luther King was talking about. People won't be judged by the color of their skin, but rather the content of their character. There's a higher value that is that has to be used as a marker, to put people in positions, that are really important. And so, yeah, so it sounds like that's on its way. And of course, what's happening is that and I think everybody knows, that our government is suffering from bloat, and there are a lot of jobs there that are probably not necessary. And Trump decided to take Elon Musk and task him, to be the czar of efficiency. And so Elon Musk, the CEO of X, well, now it's X, but it used to be Twitter. And also, the dog just left me, so forgive me for this. But anyway, CEO of Tesla, CEO of SpaceX, and these large companies, and supposedly he's the richest man in the world. And evidently, Trump thinks that he knows something about efficiency, so he hired him and assembled a team to take a look at government inefficiencies. And so this is really meeting with a lot of resistance, from the people. Of course, people are losing their jobs, and there are thousands of people that are losing their jobs, and of course they're not happy. Now they have to find some other way to do their work, but let's face it, the jobs that are being cut are the ones that are not needed by government. Otherwise they wouldn't be cut. Of course, there's some mistakes being made, because evidently there were jobs that were cut. That people got notices. They were in the in the energy field. With the people that are watching over the nuclear industry, and so it was a bit problematic. Hold on one sec here. Anyway, so yeah, cuts are being made, and Elon Musk, was seen on TV, was handed a chainsaw, and he called it the chainsaw for bureaucracy, and so it's a little bit theatrical, but I think Trump is actually a smart guy, because you can, he had to have been smart to get this rich to begin with, and to be this smart to get, put up by the Republican Party as a candidate, and then win the presidency again, So okay, so there's no question about that. So when you hear him say stupid shit, you got to be wondering, what the hell is he intending to do? Because when he says, maybe Canada ought to become the 52nd state or something like that, that really raises eyebrows. Or Gaza is going to be the Riviera of the Levant, and we want to take over some territory, as if having America, and that isn't all, because he's also talking to Panama now, and people talk to Panama because he's not happy about the Chinese influence in Panama, because they've been pouring a lot of money into it, and they're having more and more say in what's going on, because they have their they have an initiative called Belts and Roads, so they're giving lots of money to, countries that, they're asking for it, in Africa and so forth, and evidently Panama is one of those things. But, there's always a hitch to this, that, you get the money, you can build roads and transportation belts, I don't know whether those are the belts or not, but anyway, it's just an acronym that we like to throw around here. And then we're going to tell you what to do. And of course, we're not that crazy about having Chinese influence, right here, Chinese government influence. Of course, we've got a large Chinese population here, we love Chinese food, for Christ's sakes, it's all good, But anyway, Chairman Xi, I've mentioned that recently to somebody, that he's president for life, kind of like Putin, because Putin has to swap between offices, he's still always on top, but he's either the president or the chancellor, the president or the chancellor. So all he has to do is stand elected for the chancellor, and then he gets elected. Then the next time he goes and, or whenever the terms are over, I don't know how many terms he can serve as that. But anyway, and Xi is much the same thing, except, with less fanfare. They just elected him, president for life, and that's it. Okay. And he came out not long ago. I think I've talked about that before. He said, well, when you look at the future of China, it is bright, and as an individual living in China, you have to remember the party is always right, okay? The party is always right. And if you follow the rules, there is a golden future for you. There you go. I mean, that's win-win. You know what you're supposed to do, and if you do it, this is the result you have. So I don't know whether that's such a bad thing, if you think about it, all by itself. But obviously, we can't disagree with the party. But we have that in Europe as well. For instance, I know in Germany and maybe some other European countries, um, hate speech is illegal. And whatever they consider hate speech, whatever that is, you can be arrested for. And they are arresting people for hate speech. And hate speech, could be like, I hate Muslims, or, or I guess if you're a Muslim, Christians suck, that would be hate speech. But maybe coming from a Muslim, it's not as serious because, they're held to a lesser standard, But in any case, just getting back a little bit to the DEI stuff, my wife was at an ABA meeting some time ago, and they were talking about DEI and equity, and the woman that was giving the lecture on diversity and inclusion said, if we don't force that and don't make it a mandate, then all you have is white males, running the business. And so I think that's really what they're scared of, So are they afraid that there are not enough smart women or smart minorities? That's pure bullshit. I think equality ought to reign, and the best and the brightest ought to be running things. And then you have good government. You have all that. You don't have a friggin' swamp. Like we have now. That has to be cleaned up. So anyway, another thing that happened. Of course, AI is a big deal now. We have Chat GBT. And we have Elon Musk's Grok, and we have Perplexity, and we have all these what they call large language models. And that entire industry, has received a lot of money. Like I think last year, was some $600 billion were poured into development of AI last year, and then suddenly, China, some company in China came out with what they call DeepSeek. And DeepSeek, is evidently just as good as any of the other large language models, like Llama and so on, that are out there right now. And and it was produced for millions instead of billions, So that really shook up the AI world, and it almost reminded me of the dot-com bust. That was the boom and the bust, and we're still in an AI boom because we don't know where that's all going. And I tell you, I use the Chat GBT all the time for all kinds of things, and mostly Grok now because I like Grok too, and I ask a lot of questions, and they really go into detail, and you actually get an education if you ask a question. I know you probably all know this, but for an old guy like me, to be interested in that kind of thing is really something, and I have to say that I love it because I've got a relationship with Chat, And I've helped my wife, in a lot of ways, producing products and stuff that just kind of takes away some of the what we would call busy work that she doesn't want to do because she it's more important that she does knowledge work. So anyway, Yeah, and of course the economy isn't doing so great right now because it's people are a little bit cautious about things because Trump is throwing a lot of spaghetti on the walls, and uh, so the investors just don't know quite what to do with it, because there are these tariff threats. If you don't do what we wanted to do, we're going to increase your tariffs. And he's actually serious about some of these things, like 25% tariff on a car or some large object. It's going to be hard to swallow for people that are in the import business. So anyway, one of the things we did have early in the month, was the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 59. Holy crap! Super Bowl 59. That's really something. I mean, I've been a big Super Bowl fan, for years. But it's kind of lost. Football has kind of lost. I used to watch Monday Night Football, but it's kind of lost the luster, from when we had the kneelers, and then oh man, Michael Jordan, in basketball. I used to watch it, and it was just fabulous, and but now we have LeBron James. Oh my God, and kneelers, So I don't watch basketball so much anymore. That's kind of lost it. But Super Bowl, you know, I mean, Boston hot wings, things like that. A little bit guacamole and things like that. Why not? But what a lousy game that was. Holy shit, So it was the Eagles and I don't know, somebody else. Anyway, it was the and probably having a brain fart, if I can't think of it. But anyway, the Eagles just trounced Philadelphia Eagles, and anyway, hey, I'm getting old, and this is what's going on. But anyway, so the Eagles, um, you know, beat the opposite team, 40-22. I cannot remember that. It's kind of crazy, you know what I mean? But anyway, and Mahomes was on the opposite team, and both Marge and I thought, we were really looking forward to him for him to do all kinds of wonderful things, and then we found out, that Mahomes is not a nice guy either. Evidently, he likes to run to the sidelines, and wait to be pushed, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, the Eagles did a fantastic job. When it comes to the halftime show, and of course we like the commercials and things, but when it comes to the halftime show, I was really disappointed. I don't know, I mean, the press, touted it as the greatest thing and all that kind of stuff, and it was wonderful rap, and I guess I'm not a fan of rap, so maybe that's what it is. But it, from my perspective, I tell you what, it really sucked. I mean, it was probably the worst halftime show, in my opinion, that I've ever seen. I mean, you know, well, who doesn't like pretty women, out there dancing and stuff like this? But when it goes to gyrating and text that you can't understand, context you can't understand. Maybe I'm just being an old fuddy-duddy, but anyway, I hated it. So I don't have much good to say about this. One of the things that's really interesting right now, and I want to switch gears on you, and that is back to politics. Putin and Trump. Uh, Trump called Zelensky a dictator. So Okay, I mean, Trump is always good at calling names, and that's one of the qualities I least like about him, the name calling. But in any case, so Putin and Trump they're going to meet somewhere, in Malaysia or some sort of an island, some super secure thing, and talk about this, in person. Evidently, the Ukraine situation, and they're leaving Zelensky out of it. So Zelensky's response to the dictator comment was, well, Trump is just quoting Russian propaganda, and just I think even today he says, well, Zelensky says, okay, if you manage to stop the fighting, okay, if you manage to stop the fighting, well, I'll resign, that's it, So I don't know, I don't know what's going on between these, but when I hear these things, where I see that the Republicans and the Democrats, they're baffled, by what's happening with Trump. As a matter of fact, neither one knows what to do with him. So that the Republicans mostly support everything he says and does, but some things they can't support. For instance, he wants to take away the birthright. So somebody can't come here for a birthing holiday. You know what I mean? So come here and stay a couple of months. Have a child, and it's an American. You go back home. But you have an American citizen. So now you can apply for citizenship because you take care of the child and so on. Or pregnant women just coming here and having their children. So maybe that part of being born in the United States and then automatic citizen, maybe that needs to be looked at. And evidently, when he issued the order to stop that, the courts already jumped on it and just tried to slow that whole thing down. So a lot of his executive orders are probably going to wind up in the Supreme Court. See whether he actually the court agrees whether he has the power to do that. But they're not talking much about draining the swamp. But you know what? He kind of is. And the denizens of the swamp are really fighting hard, But so far, the Democrats, they don't really know what the hell to do with this guy. And, I hope it's good for America. That's my hope. Just one more comment about business. Unfortunately, we lost another electric car company when Chapter 11, and a company named Nikola is going Chapter 11. They just can't make it anymore. So there are a lot of companies, that committed to buying their trucks and vans and things like that, but the company just can't make it. They don't have an Elon Musk. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is a long enough video. It's the last one probably for this month. I'm not sure whether I'll make another one. But I think the next video, I have to kind of bring conclusion to my spiritual journey. And, maybe that'll be an interesting topic. But I also just remember, that the Eagles beat the Patriots. Oh, crap. Anyway, love you guys. I bid you farewell. Auf Wiedersehen and so long.